What's up? I'm Octavia Dunigan, super excited to connect with you again. Listen, I hope you are doing good, feeling good, and looking good because that matters too. Last week we talked about being intentional, being and living on purpose as we're almost halfway through this year. Today, I kind of want to pick up on that because, as you begin to get intentional, really focus on what you want to do, be, and have, you start to cross things out. You start to cut things off. You start to quit. And I want to give you 3 concepts to consider before you quit. That's right. Can I start off by saying quitting is not always a bad thing? Sometimes when we think about quitting, it always results to a negative feeling. I quit. I let it go. And it's a negative connotation behind it. Let me give you some facts about quitting. First things first, when you quit something, you don't necessarily let go of a responsibility or become responsibility free. Think about it. If you quit your job, that's one problem you got rid of, but now you got another one. You got to find another way to make some money. You quit that relationship. You got rid of one problem, but now a new problem may arise with loneliness or compatibility, etc., etc. So quitting itself is not necessarily freeing yourself of responsibility, just FYI. Quitting sometimes is actually necessary. There are times where you actually need to quit. You need to stop and do something different. Here's those 3 concepts that you should consider before you consider quitting. And you can apply this to any area. First things first, before you decide to quit, I want you to reflect. Why do you want to quit? Why do you want to give up? I have a lot of children, you guys know. And I had a conversation with my daughter, Nala, this past week. She's going to get me for spilling this, but that's okay. I'm sure you can connect, even though Nala's only 15 years old. She works, she goes to high school. She actually is in dual enrollment now, and in which she's able to take college courses. I'm super proud of her. And I believe she's struggling with the work-life balance and being a kid, right? Life is so hard at 15. But anyways, we are encouraging responsibility to pretty much prepare her for reality, right? There is no way we should have children, teens, or anybody sitting back with no responsibilities who are old enough to have responsibilities, because that will be us not preparing them for reality. The reality is life is full of responsibilities. And so back to Nala, we were having a conversation about her job. And she told me, Mom, I want to quit. And so, of course, as a mother, I'm like, why? What happened? Like, who do I need to go talk to? What's going on? You're 15. Why do you want to quit? What's going on? And she said, I want to quit because I don't like the people. Fair enough, right? Have you ever wanted to quit a job or a group or organization or whatever it is, maybe even a business, because you don't like people, or you didn't like the people that were in the office, or you didn't like your leadership team, or you didn't like the HR woman that hired you, right? Have you ever been in a position where you wanted to quit a job because of people? I did. And so I told her, I said, that's cool. So if you quit that job because of the people, what job are you going to go to that don't have any people? Right? Especially at 15. And she stopped and she said, I didn't look at it like that. And I said, yeah, because, if you quit the job, you'll get rid of that behavior or those characteristics only to onboard to a whole new set. And that's for you too. Maybe you're considering quitting your job. And I'm not saying don't quit your job, because as I started, quitting sometimes is necessary, right? Sometimes we have to let go of what's beneath us so that we can go higher. And if you're in that situation, I want to encourage you, as I started off by saying, let's reflect. Why do you want to quit? If it's because of people and we're running away from people or management or certain characters or emotions or behaviors, we have to know the reality is that even though we leave this problem, there's going to be the next set of problems, because people are imperfect, people are different, and sometimes our differences just don't line up with each other. And so we clash. And if we begin to accept that, then we'll begin to really accept each other's differences, and we'll begin to probably take things less personal and begin to go to work for the money and not for the people. And as I explained that to Nala, and hopefully to you, she began to reflect on her intention to quit for this specific position, and she changed her mind. She said, you know what, I'm not going to quit because of the people, because now I'm going to probably go deal with a whole bunch of different people, right? And that have issues, and I'll have to quit that job, right? And so the reflection aspect of this concept allows us to really evaluate our intentions behind the reason or motive to quit. Why do I want to quit? Why do I want to leave this marriage? Why do I want to quit this covenant? Why do I want to quit this commitment? There's no communication. He doesn't or she doesn't understand me. You know, he does this, she does that. But if we reflect, and I mean reflect on the whole picture, right? Not just reflect on what that person did or what that job did or what that business is not doing. If we begin to really reflect on ourselves, because the truth is, the only thing we can ever change in truth is us. Our minds, our perspectives, our behaviors, our emotions, how we handle it. That's what we have the power to change. And so in our reflection, as we begin to evaluate the situation, we should evaluate ourselves. This marriage isn't working. I want to quit. The communication sucks. As I reflect on myself, I notice that I don't leave a space or opportunity to communicate healthy. Every time we communicate, my expectations of my partner's communication skills, right, are not meeting my standards. And so therefore it's not working. I want to quit. I want to let go. But if we reflect, and I'm not talking about relationships today, I'm talking about the reflection of our intention to quit. If we reflect on ourselves, can we be honest and say that we're providing an environment that's conducive for a person to want to communicate? Right? We have to begin to take responsibility when we're ready to quit. When we're ready to walk away from something, it's no problem with walking away, but we have to make sure we're not just walking away as the victim. Because sometimes we're not really just the victim. Sometimes we're actually the one that's causing the problem. Sometimes it's our attitude. Sometimes it's the way that we're presenting ourselves, or we're, perceiving the other person, or our perspective based off of our background or our religion or our experience. Sometimes it's us. And that's maturity. I learned that. Now, y'all know I'm 34 and I'm still learning. That's ignorant. I hope you're 78, 99, 102 and you're still learning, right? I hope you'll never stop learning. And even in my reflections, I noticed things about myself in which I quit or let go of certain things or gave up certain things. And really, there was miscommunication. There was a false sense of perception because it was only based from my point of view. And so that reflection piece allows us to really identify the problem, the cause to why we're wanting to quit, let go. That brings me to my second point, because see, if we reflect good, it opens the door for us to wait. That's the second part. Before you quit, wait. What does the waiting period do? I don't know. When I'm sitting on hold and I'm waiting, I start thinking. I don't know about you. And I start seeing stuff, right? You ever sat on the phone waiting for somebody, you're on hold, or waiting in line at the grocery store, or waiting in traffic? Anytime you're waiting somewhere, it just gives a period of, or hopefully a period of calm, where your mind could kind of just get out of its emotions. Now, if you're in traffic, that's probably not gonna work, because sometimes you can wait in traffic and get angrier, right? That's fair. Frustrations, I get it, and I'm not excluding that. I get angry in traffic too sometimes, right? We here. But at the end of the day, that waiting period, when we wait before we actually act upon quitting, that waiting period allows our emotions to kind of calm down. You ever cuss somebody out? Cuss somebody out, like cuss them out. Let them know how you felt, blah, blah, blah. You this, you that. And I always wanted to say this. And your grandmama, right? Did you ever curse somebody out, like really curse them out, right? Hang up the phone or walk away, shut the door, whatever it is. And you sit for about 20, 30 minutes later. And you like, shoot, I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should call, you think? Maybe I should order flowers. Maybe I could invite them to dinner, right? Because your emotions done simmered down. And now you realize you were operating, saying things, behaving in ways that your emotions stirred up. It wasn't really you. It wasn't really how you really felt. You really know the situation, but your emotions was out of control, right? That's not just me. Okay, if it's just me. But if it's you, if you can relate, then you totally understand the value of waiting before we quit. Notice how when you give your job that notice that you're about to quit, you give them 2 weeks. That's a waiting period. Even though you're preparing to leave, it gives them an opportunity to get themselves together too, right? It gives you a chance to really think or consider, am I making the right choice? Right? When we give notices, it gives a period to allow us to really get out of our emotions. Notice the difference between an employee who walks in the office and say, you know what? I hate you. I hate this job. Screw everything, excuse my language, but screw everything in here. I'm out. Peace. Boom. Notice that employee versus the employee that says, you know what? This isn't really working for me. I'm going to give my 2 weeks notice. And it would go from there. And sometimes jobs nowadays would be like, peace, we don't need your 2 weeks notice, but at least it gave you an opportunity to really not just jump, just move, just do things, because we can do things out of emotions that literally damage us. Not just damage us, but damage relationships. How many reputations are damaged because people do things out of their emotions? How many families are ruined? Literally, marriages ruined. Literally, relationships between siblings, right? And parent and child and grandparent and grandchildren. Like, how many relationships are severed because of emotions? Because we decided to walk away without waiting. Because waiting and reflecting, they go hand in hand. Waiting allows me to not say something or do something without thinking. And the reflecting, as I talked about, I'm bringing it together. The reflecting allows me to identify the problem, the real problem. I'm going to give you another real life example. I'm going to use business. If you are an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, first of all, shout outs to you. Do it. Keep going. As a fellow entrepreneur, I can tell you that it is not easy. Right? There are moments, times, and opportunities where it's so much easier to say, you know what? I tried, I did this, I'm closing the door, I'm walking away. And I remember one particular season in my life when I literally began to first open up Old Children's Club. Check us out, oldchildrensclub.com. We're a youth club for youth, We're a youth club for children between the ages of 8 to 18. Tons of great things. We're making a difference in homes, schools, and communities. Check us out. But listen, 2017, man, I decided to jump on this thing. I had no clue what an entrepreneur really was. I had an idea, a vision, and I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to do. And so I started. And like any entrepreneur, we're moved by passion, right? Moved by the desire to either help or make a difference or solve a problem, hopefully, right? And so I was just going. And I remember, because again, I didn't know about business. I didn't know about entrepreneurship. I remember finding myself in a season due to finances saying, I don't know if this was for me. Because if you've been a real business owner and literally a full-time business owner, which I've talked about that at a whole nother season before you transition into full-time business ownership, right? From working full-time. That's a whole nother season. But I remember looking at finances in one season and saying, I'm ready to give up my whole mission, right? Because my finances weren't lining up with the vision, and I blamed the business at first. This was the initial thought. I'm ready to quit the business because it's not bringing the result that I desire to have, which is not just impact, but also money, right? A business owner makes money starts a business to make a difference and to make a profit. If you are a business owner and your business is not seeing a profit, it doesn't mean you need to quit. It means you need to get to number 3. My last point is to adjust accordingly. We have to adjust, right? Before we quit, before we walk away, we have to identify, is there something that I can adjust? Okay? Because when I sat down and I was like, my business plan is lining up and I'm not scaling up and I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Before I quit and close this LLC, right? I need to reflect. First things first, what's going on? Okay, we're not bringing money. Okay, is it the cost? Is it the overhead? Is it the marketing? Is it this, right? Number two, I waited. I didn't just say, you know what, I'm quitting, I'm going on back on Indeed, I'm doing this. I didn't do that. I waited. It allowed me to get out my feelings. It allowed me to get creative, right? Because sometimes you just need a moment to get creative. If we're just focused on a problem, of course the problem is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know about you, but when I think about a problem, if I keep focusing and feeding and adding fuel to that problem, baby, that fire grows fast. And then it becomes, to me, harder to put out or extinguish because my thoughts made it so big, right? And so for me, I looked at it and I said, okay, I know my problem. I'm identifying my problem through my reflection. I'm not going to just run and close my business down. I'm going to wait. And in one season, I actually waited about 2 to 3 months. And when I got to my adjustment shifted not just my business. One little adjustment shifted my life. Y'all want to know my adjustment? I'm being real with you. I'm going to tell you my adjustment because I want you to see how real this was. Literally in 2017, if you know our story, we started off in a storefront in Jacksonville, Florida. We started off actually in a hotel meeting space, okay? We were using the meeting space. We ended up building an awesome relationship between the Embassy Suites. Shout out to the Embassy Suites and Jacksonville. I mean, man, they were awesome. The whole chain, because even the whole chain started branching out to us. So I'm going to say the entire chain. But anyway, we were using their meeting rooms and we started off just on Saturdays. Our numbers were growing. We were getting bigger. And I was looking at it like, okay, we're spending all this money in meeting rooms, but yet we have to be out at a certain time. We don't really have a designated space to hang out. We don't have things to areas to really hold our supplies and, just different things like that. And so we considered getting the actual building or actual space. And we did that. God opened that door for us. We opened our building and we extended our times. We started meeting after school and on Saturdays. And listen, we got to a really good space. We had shifts in our leadership and on my team. I had to make some shifts and things changed and things happened, right? But then I got married, right? Or remarried at this point. And my husband came to me and said, hey, listen, our business, we have a trucking business. Our business, we have an opportunity in Georgia. So we need to do something different so that we can literally jump on this board. And I was in a spot where I was like, what am I going to do? Right? I have a whole business here that's in the storefront. Like, I don't know anything about Georgia. I don't know anything about anything. And so we prayed about it. We thought about it. And long term, it just made more sense to transition to Georgia, which shout out to Georgia. I'm here now, right? We're in Georgia. Guys, I'm giving you this because I really want you to see how this really is real life. You're looking at it, right? Get to Georgia. And guess what happens? The world shuts down because of the pandemic. And so I'm really like, okay, not only is the world shut down, but now my business is obviously at a standstill because not only is there not a space for me to get out and start growing, no one's getting out, no one's going outside. Kids are not going anywhere. Kids are in the homes. They're not even going to schools. So what in the world is going to happen to this business? Do I just close it? Do I quit? How do I quit something that God put in my soul to have? And that's another thing, y'all. Before you quit, really go back to the original. Why did you start? Why did you get started? Why did you marry that woman? Why did you marry that man? Why did you really move to that city? Why did you apply to that job? Why did you want that title and position? Like, before you quit, in your reflection, identify that. And I knew for me with OCC, this was beyond business. This was a work. This was a ministry. And I knew, I don't know how, but I can't quit. That came in my reflection. And so I waited. I waited with the world. We all waited in 2022 or 2020. I waited. We waited. And the solution came. Virtual. Virtual. I don't know anything about virtual. I learned Zoom and all those capabilities really through the pandemic, right? Virtual. That one concept, that one idea, that one problem that I could have ran away from because I didn't know how to bring what was into now, that whole scenario became a solution. And not just a solution that was an immediate solution. This solution changed my life. Now the reach, now the impact is limitless. We're virtual, right? True story, y'all. We're still here today. Almost 7 years later, or it is 7 years now. 7 years later, we're still here. We're still moving. We're still growing. We're still building. We're still doing. You know why? Because we didn't quit. And I'm not saying that quitting is a bad thing. I started off by saying that quitting is necessary at times. But the truth is, sometimes we quit too soon. Sometimes we quit when all we were supposed to do was reflect, wait, and adjust. Listen, I still believe no matter what you're facing, this second half of 2024 could be the best half of 2024. I still believe that if you're being intentional with your time, your relationships, and with your money, and you begin to focus on areas in which you probably should or should not walk away from, that you will make wise decisions through reflection, through active waiting, which means that while you wait, you still work, you still pray, you still think, you still do, but you just don't jump and make immediate actions. So that reflection, that actively waiting, and then adjusting accordingly. You adjust accordingly. Whether it is apply for the promotion, whether it is going back to school so you can make more money, whether it is taking down the walls to your heart and your soul and your mind so that you can actually connect with your partner. Whether it is being vulnerable and speaking up for yourself. Whatever adjustments you have to do, do them. So that you're just not quitting everything. You're just not running from your responsibilities, but you're actually standing up, 10 toes down, fighting for you. There's more. Get intentional. Don't just quit. Reflect, wait, and adjust. You got this. Let's get it.